Good evening, everybody. This is Dave Stevens, and thank you for joining me on Dave Stevens Speaks tonight, right here on riverwestradio.com, WXRW 104.1, and I have got an amazing show for you guys tonight. I am so excited for my guest, and we are going to have we're going to learn a lot tonight. I'm still just speechless that I was able to figure this out and get him to be a part of the show tonight, but I want to say hi to everybody out there in River West Radio and the Disability Channel and everybody out there who's joining us tonight. Thank you for supporting Dave Stevens Speaks, of course, on all the platforms of, we got LinkedIn, we got Facebook, we got Instagram, we got all those things. So, again, thank you for your support and, of course, for joining us every Thursday night right here on riverwestradio.com. So, my guest tonight, I've got to bring him in because, well, it's going to be a fun night, and I might as well just get to him right away. So joining me tonight is 94-year-old veteran, a staff sergeant from World War II, Alan Moskin. Alan, how are you, my friend?
Hanging in there, Dave.
And we're just going to talk tonight. Alan, I've known him on the speaking circuit, and he's just going to talk to us a little bit about his career, what he went through, and his story is amazing. Alan was one of the very first liberators to come up in the concentration camps in Austria. And he was one of the first guys to come into and see some of the most horrendous things. And we're going to talk a little bit about, what he saw, the good, the bad, and just kind of get his perspective because he lived it. And Alan, as we get right into it, you started out early and you got drafted and you went into the Army and you had to go through training. I mean, what was that like?
Well, back in the World War II days, Dave, every male that hit 18 got a draft notice. It was called a draft notice, no matter where you are, whatever. And I was at Syracuse University. I had started Syracuse a year before, very young at 17. And when I hit 18, I got the draft notice. They knew my address up at school and had to leave Syracuse and go for infantry basic training. And went down to Camp Blanding, which is the northern part of Florida, for infantry basic training. Now, I was a pretty good athlete and a regular guy, but I want to emphasize that I never had a gun in my hand before, so I had to learn how to, shoot a M1 rifle, a machine gun, and stick a bayonet and stuff. But it's a whole complete transition from being a young college student, as you can imagine, that all of a sudden for 3 months learning how to kill or be killed, how to survive in combat, and. But, I was able to do it and adjust it to, I might comment, I don't know whether it's pertinent to what we're talking about tonight, but I did encounter bias and prejudice at Camp Blanding. This was in the 40s in the South, and this is not a pleasant part of my talk, but I tell it because it was true and it had a bearing on me. I got along with all the Southern boys initially till I put a picture of our basketball team up north that we had won some sectional in basketball, and I was a little point guard, and we had I'm laughing because we had my Roman Catholic buddy. He was our center. He was 6 feet a half inch tall. That sounds funny today as a center because they're 6'10", 7 feet, but my day 6 feet was very tall, and then we had 3 colored boys, now called black, but on the team. And we won this some kind of sectional down there in basketball. And afterwards, when you have your arms around each other sideways, take a picture. And so I had that picture behind my bunk, among many others, and the Southern boys walked by, and when they saw that picture, they kept looking at it, and they couldn't it really bothered them apparently that I had my arms around Southern about colored boys, and from that time on, I was called a nigger lover by the Southern boys. Now, the reason I tell that is that it bothered me because we're going over to fight the Nazis, the bad guys, and I got guys, so to speak, on my team talking like that, and I couldn't, it was a shock to me. I was in a very diverse area where I was born. I never thought about the difference of color of skin or religion or any of that. And this, for the first time, being called those names, it wasn't pleasant.
And it's tough right now as we haven't really changed a lot in
That's right.
years.
That's why it relates to what's going on today. That's why I threw it out there. But, I mean, it was terrible. I mean, they had signs, whites only for the restrooms, and they couldn't drink from the same. I rode on a bus and sat next to a colored lady, and the bus driver cursed me out, and I didn't even know why, but you weren't allowed to sit with black. It was terrible. And as I said, the only reason I discuss it, although it seems to be apropos today, is that we're the good guys going up like the Nazis, the bad guys, and then I got guys, so to speak, on my side thinking, well, I couldn't fight the war in the South. So, and I might add, by the way, I'll get off this, in combat, none of that crap existed. Any of my buddies, we didn't care if you're black, white, Catholic, Jew. You just protect my right flank, I'll protect your left. I loved every one of the guys in my outfit, and I think they felt the same about me. We didn't care. Any of that stuff never worked in combat. But in the South, in basic training, it was there, and I had to get over it, and I did. If you want me to move on after basic training, you tell me what you want me to do. I go into that now.
Well, you talked about what it was like to go over there, and I'm going to put up for our listeners, there's going to be a picture of this camp that you liberated. When you walked up to that, as you saw from the outskirts, can you kind of take us through what you saw and what your commander told you to do before you even entered?
Well, you're jumping the gun a little bit. Let me just tell you that we fought in combat in the Rhineland campaign, the Central European campaign against the Nazis. And then near the end of the war in May of 45, we came across a POW camp, a bunch of mostly RAF, Royal Air Force, British flyboys. They were very happy, obviously, to be liberated. There was a lot of camaraderie going around, a lot of hugging. And for the first time, they mentioned to us, to my officers, and we all heard it, hey guys, we're not sure it's true, but we heard rumors that there's a camp for Jews a few kilometers down the road. And we all looked at each other, a camp for Jews. I might add, we didn't know anything about concentration camps for Jews. My officers, we knew that Hitler wasn't crazy about Jews, but we didn't, at least on our level, know about concentration camps. So when they told us there was a camp for Jews, we weren't sure if it was true or not true, but we were ordered to go toward Linz. In Austria, still some fighting going on. And I remember walking in the woods, and it was a damp day, and all of a sudden the most offensive, nauseating stench. It was a stench that got into your nostrils, into your brain. So everybody, what the heck is that freaking smell? And that's the first thing that hits you. And then I remember it was kind of a moist, rainy, wet day. We looked and we saw this looked like a big compound or a villa. Up on top it said Arbeit macht frei, which I knew enough German. Work will free you or make you free. What a bunch of garbage that turned out to be, but that's what they had up there. And that's when we came across the Gunskirchen Lager, a concentration camp, a subcamp of Mauthausen in Austria. And there was very little resistance because near the end of the war, most of the Nazis were retreating. There was one SS guard there for some reason was told to drop his gun a number of times, by our interpreter. I don't know what his problem was. He wouldn't drop his gun. He kept pointing it, and the captain told me, college boy, that was my nickname, college boy. If he doesn't drop his gun in the next minute after he told for the 10th time, you know what you have to do. You got to take care of him. And for some reason, I thought this guy was either crazy or maybe he wanted to die because it was near the end of the war. And I think the Nazis knew it was any day that the war was going to be over. And he wouldn't drop his gun. He kept pointing it. So I had to take care of him with a couple of rounds. And that was the last mistake he made. And then we cut through the barbed whatever and entered that camp. And I had seen a lot of killing and did my share of killing, and I know about dead bodies. It wasn't like I didn't know about dead, but I'm going to tell you, when we entered that camp, Dave, what I witnessed there was the most horrific sight I've ever seen or ever hoped to see. There was a pile of skeleton-like bodies on the left, another pile of skeleton-like bodies on the right. When I say skeleton-like, I mean skeleton-like a bunch of bones with no flesh. And the stench with the bodies. And those poor souls, that's the term my lieutenant, when we walked in there, he said, "Oh my God, look at all these poor souls. Oh my God," because those poor souls who are alive were so emaciated, it defies description. You just can't. They look like a bunch of zombies with arms that look like broomsticks, the cheeks all hollowed out, and their eyes sunken back into the sockets of their heads. I couldn't distinguish man, woman, child. They all looked alike. You couldn't distinguish genitalia. If they weighed 60, 70 pounds, they had sores all over their bodies. They looked like dirty pajamas, some with the tops, some with the bottoms, sores all over their body. And we started to hear Essenbitter, Wasserbitter, Zigarettenbitter, food, water, cigarettes. I didn't smoke, but I remember my buddies that smoked handed out the cigarettes. Visually, I remember sticking and they grabbed the cigarettes, and the guys were ready to light them, but they didn't want to smoke the cigarettes. They ripped the covering off the cigarettes and start chewing and eating the tobacco. And you have to visually see this, what starvation does to people. And then when I handed out some of we had like Spam, or forget, whatever we had in C and K rations. Then I think they have MREs today, a little bit better. But many of them took the whatever we gave them and started eating and chewing and biting so fast that they started to choke. It was falling to the ground. You're trying to help, and now you're seeing people falling to the ground, and it was chaotic. And then the medics start screaming, "No solid food!" They meant no solid food because apparently, now we're not doctors, but when you're starving, your esophagus or your windpipe apparently kind of clamps up. So they were trying to eat and they couldn't, and they were choking. But I want you to get the picture. You're trying to help, you're handing it, and people are choking and falling to the ground. It was crazy.
It's just I've heard it every time I hear it. It's just bone chilling to think what you saw and what you went through after you kind of processed it and dealt with getting them out and getting them help. I mean, what was that night like, that next day for you, when you saw probably the worst atrocities a human could ever witness?
Well, I'm not finished yet, so I got a little more to tell you before you get to that question. We were able to check out the barracks. There was like huts or barracks as far as you could see it. And went in there, my God, the stench, again, I keep emphasizing, it felt like you couldn't breathe. There was an upper and a lower, and there were people that were dead, and you could see those who were alive, again, so emaciated like bone, almost sitting on top of dead people. everywhere you looked inside, there was bodies, and the smell. I couldn't stay in there, and I came out and start screaming for the medics. The poor medics, they were overmatched. They had to mostly stick morphine guys that alleviate them from pain. But here there were thousands of bodies, and some dead, some alive. And we came out, and this is really, every time I say it, I visualize it. I close my eyes a little bit. There was a dead horse on the side of the road, and 3 of these inmates had the bark of a tree, and they're digging into the guts of a dead horse, and then they're reaching in and pulling the entrails of a dead horse and start biting and chewing, and you see the blood squirting. And when you see something like that, I mean, that's something you can't forget, what starvation does to people. I mean, how can you forget a scene like that? Every time I talk about it, I feel it again. It's like 75 plus years ago, but I feel it when I talk about it. I want to emphasize that, how these people were treated, that they was, like animals. They were so hungry for anything to eat. And then I remember again when I said, "Oh, my lieutenant," we didn't know who they were at first. We didn't know where they were from. Then we started to see something. They had this Jewish star, like on the some of them had on their pajama like uniform. Some said Judah or whatever. And then the lieutenant screamed that they must be Jewish. We didn't know who they were. And so he said, "Moskin," he knew I was Jewish, my lieutenant. "Can you speak Yiddish or Hebrew?" No, I couldn't speak the language because, my parents said they spoke English, and when I was home English, I mean, I knew a few Jewish idioms like Meshuggah or Chutzpah or whatever, but I was able to shoot out "Ich bin auch a Jud." To this day, I'm not sure where I heard it. I think it's German, but it's "I am also a Jew." I said, "Ich bin auch a Jud." When I said that for the first time, there were some smiles at the Amerikaner, Jud, Danke, American soldier. And I remember this elderly man. I say elderly, when you're 18, he's probably half my age today, but he was elderly because I was 18. Let's say if he was 40, he was like a bunch of bones. When I said I was an American Jewish soldier, Dave, he came up to me, shuffling up to me. I wasn't sure what he was going to do. And then he went down on his hands and knees, and he started to lick my boots. My God, my boots were caked with blood and feces and mud. And I knew he was trying to be affectionate. He kept saying, "Danke, Amerikaner, you, thank you, Americans." But it made me very uncomfortable. I never had anybody grovel at my feet, and I don't want him to do that. So I picked him up under the armpits and brought him up. So he came up, and God help me, the stench of his body was so bad. But also he had sores going back down the nape of his neck. And out of those sores, lice was crawling. They all had lice from the filth of the camps. So you can imagine that scene. This guy's holding me and lice is crawling all over. And these are scenes that how can one forget? I was still I hadn't even turned 19 yet because the war ended at the beginning of May and I turned 19 at the end of May. But I just want to get those scenes across to let people know that the Holocaust was no myth. What I saw, I wasn't hallucinating, and I want them to know what the Nazis, how they had treated the people in these camps. And I found out later every day, our outfit, we didn't know how many camps there were, but every day we were hearing about another outfit liberating Auschwitz or Bergen-Belsen or Bucha. There are thousands of these camps all over. You go to the Holocaust Museum now, you can see, I think they got close to, it sounds crazy, 40,000 if you count all the sub-camps. And that's what the Nazis had done. And I bear witness. I saw it, and it's something that I get emotional about it because I just can't believe one group of people could treat another group of people like that. I still can't get a handle on it. I don't care who, what, where. That's my feeling about it. And I mean, I think I'm trying to get across to you how it reacted. You asking me what
Yeah.
my feelings were. I don't want to get too crazy here, but every time I talk about it, I've spoken with you many times, and uh, I want those kids that we speak to hear it from me mouth to mouth, because the teachers tell me they get a lot more out of it when they hear that somebody was there rather than read it in a textbook. And uh, I just hope that what I witnessed there, something like that, God forbid, never ever happens again. And I tell these people, these young kids, they got to do the job and get rid of that hate, prejudice, and bigotry that I witnessed, and make sure what happened then, God forbid, that it doesn't happen again. And it can happen again if they don't, keep their wits about them and do the right thing.
Right. Well, Alan Moskin is my guest tonight. This is Dave Stevens right here on River West Radio, WXRW 104.1. We are kind of just going through some of the most amazing history you can hear from a man who was a part of that. And he is a treasure. He's a national treasure, Alan, and I thank you for joining me. And as we wrap up the first part about that, I say you're a national treasure, and I also want to bring in somebody who also thinks you're a national treasure. General Michael Ferris is joining us as well, and I'm so excited to bring him in. He is from the National Veterans Memorial Museum in Columbus, Ohio, the National Veterans Memorial and Museum in Columbus, Ohio. And General Ferris, he's been the commanding general of the U.S. Army, the Installation Command. You've done so much. Thank you for your service. Thank you for joining us tonight. I know you wanted to say a little bit to Alan, so I'm going to just let you two go at it.
Well, Alan, I salute you, first of all, right from the get-go.
I salute you.
And I'm so proud to meet you this evening, and can't wait to have you come here to our National Veterans Memorial and Museum. It's built for us. It's built for you. We can't wait to get with you and capture your stories. That's the beautiful building there. The inside of it was actually done by Ralph Applebaum, who also did the Holocaust Museum. So you know what kind of storyteller he is.
Why?
But this museum honors all veterans from all parts of our history. We have stories from World War II all the way up to present, men and women, white, black, Asian, Latino. We have Army, Navy, Air Force, Marine, and Coast Guard. And so it's an amazing and stunning place. But the real deal tonight is you. And thank you for our freedom. People say to me, thanks for your service. And sometimes I tell them, well, the post office is a service too. But thank you. What you deliver was our freedom. And I'm just amazed that you could get so much experience and wisdom as an 18 and 19-year-old in what appears to be 26 months of just compressed service and leadership opportunity. So it's a pleasure to be with you. And I don't know how many 3-stars you talked to today, but now I'm at least one of them.
When this pandemic is over, General, and I'm still fit, I hope, I'd like to, maybe we could arrange for me to fly out to Columbus. I'll go with the missus, and I've done it before. And if I'm able, I'd love to go out there and speak to your group.
You can count on that. We also do virtual rally point. We started a program the first month that we opened. We've been open 19 months only. And we're in Columbus, Ohio. And I came from, of course, Fort Benning in Columbus, Georgia.
Oh, boy.
To join the team. But virtual rally point allows you to speak to thousands and thousands just in an awesome way, as you're doing here with Dave's show. So we'll get you on the virtual rally point, and then we'll get you physically there as well. But I'm an infantryman and a paratrooper, and I have been to combat in Iraq 3 times and Mogadishu, Somalia once, but nothing compared to what you've just described and the strength of character that you have displayed to everybody who's listening. And what kind of advice would you give to a 3-star if you had a chance to talk to George Patton when you were underneath him?
I might say that we saw the general a couple of times. As you know, history, he was hands-on. He wasn't like every other general as far as we were concerned. He was very tough on the officers, but he loved us grunts, and he used to come up, and he liked to march with us a few times. And
No doubt.
The one thing that I have to say, the only thing that other than the fact that he had these ivory pistols always on his side, and he has more fruit salad than you can imagine from the top to the bottom. But his voice, I don't know how to put this, his voice didn't fit the persona. He didn't have a masculine voice. We all got to look, we didn't dare say anything out loud, but we marched for, he was a great general militarily. He pushed us, and we didn't think we could keep him, but he was, push, push, push. He said, "You're tired. What do you think those krauts are?" And but I might say that I heard some stories about him, but I'm not going to go into all kinds of things. I mean,
for another show. Well, General, I know you're busy. Just thank you for joining us tonight. Any parting words for Alan? Because I know you guys are going to be seeing a lot of each other, hopefully virtually and in person in the upcoming months.
Well, I hope so.
Well, I just say in parting, Alan, that there's only one thing in life we ever get to control, and that's our attitude. And we do get to demonstrate inspired leadership every single day. And that's what you're doing tonight to everyone who is so privileged to meet you and hear you and see you. So we look forward to you demonstrating inspired leadership at the National Veterans Memorial Museum. And if you ever need anything from this general, just let me know. And you call, we fall. Thanks a lot. Dave, thank you so much for allowing me.
Thank you, sir. I salute you. I've got two amazing men, and I'm humbled. My dad served in World War II, and I love Alan so much. And I'm so glad that I could bring you guys together tonight and just, share his story and how special that you guys are for what you do for our country. So I salute you, General. Thank you for your time tonight, and I look forward to, seeing Alan up there in Columbus.
Okay, relationships are for life, so we'll see you again.
Thank you, sir.
I want to make one comment, Dave. I see that flag right behind the general, and that flag means an awful lot to me, and I'm going to come right out and say it. I know what the First Amendment is. I'm a retired attorney, among other things, and you have a right to protest. But I lost a lot of buddies dying for that flag, and it bothers me no end when I see a lot of these athletes kneeling or doing other things with that flag, saying the national anthem. Let them find another way, please, to protest under the First Amendment. They have every right to do that. But kneeling when the national anthem and that flag is shown, I take that personal. I don't like it. People may disagree with me, but every time I see that flag, and I'm looking at it now, I know what it means to a lot of guys who lost their lives and their families for it. And it's got to be another way that they can protest without kneeling down when that flag is the national anthem is shot. I want to get my 2 cents in on that. Well, some people may not like it, but that's how I feel, and nothing's going to change my feeling about what I just said. That's how I feel about it.
We'll find our way. We'll come together and we'll find our way in this country. We always do.
Hope so.
Well, thank you, General. We appreciate it, and hopefully we'll get you Alan there as soon as we can get it. So thank you for joining us tonight, General, and we appreciate it.
My pleasure. Thank you so much.
Wow, that's awesome. That was General Michael Ferris, who just wanted to pop in and let you know that your speaking career is not over, Alan. So I just thought that would be kind of cool. So we're going to continue. We're going to drop off here on River West Radio and do some stuff over there and talk about some more stuff and all the cool things that Alan has done. But I got to tell you, don't forget, this is Dave Stevens, and you're watching Dave Stevens Speaks. You can follow me each and every week, Thursday night here. And don't forget, you can find me on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, all those good things. And I need your support because we have so many amazing stories and things to tell you. So join us each and every week right here, 7:30 p.m. on 104.1 River West Radio. For more information on how to hire Alan, go to wolfmanproductions.com. He's a pretty good dude. All righty, we are here for the second hour. I don't know, we could go 2-3 hours. I love talking to Alan, and I don't mind if we, but let's talk about some fun things now, Alan. We can talk about, let's see, what you want to talk about? I don't know, your family? You want to talk about history? I'm not sure. We got all kinds of things we can talk about the rest of the night, but Alan is joining me for another little bit here. Now we can kind of talk about what you've done post World War II, because that's a lot to get over and to get through. But, I know you talked a little bit about your family, and on our screen now we can see, you've got 7 grandkids, you've got amazing people in your life that love you, and they don't know about these hard things. But family, I know, means a lot to you, Alan. So talk a little bit about what those kids and what your kids mean to you.
Well, I got married pretty late in life, David. I mean, I played the field, so to speak, after I got out of the Army. Went back to college, went to law school, and practiced trial lawyer for quite a while in New Jersey. And then finally met this beautiful flight attendant, Krista, and she hitched me. And when I hit 90, I got married to a young bride and had 2 lovely daughters, Jacqueline and Lisa. And then now I have 7 grandchildren. They're all living in Charleston, South Carolina. And boys seem to be good athletes, which I like. And, I'm living the good life. At 94, I can't complain. I've been active with the veterans, the Jewish war veteran, the veteran of foreign war, the American Legion. I keep busy. I also an officer at the Holocaust Museum here in Rockland County, and I speak an awful lot, as you know, as you do also, at various schools. Wolfman Productions is our agent for both of us. It gets me out to speak like you, and a lot of the teachers know me by now. I've spoken at some of the schools each year, and God, now it must be 20, 30 years going back when I first started to speak, because I didn't mention this, Dave, and you know it, but I didn't speak for 50 years after the end of the war. The reason was that I was very fearful. I had terrible nightmares when the war ended. I couldn't sleep, and I used to sweat and cry and walk the streets in Austria and Germany as a member of the Army of Occupation at 3, 4, 5 in the morning because I was scared to sleep. The guys next to me said I was screaming out names, cursing, and I'll tell you the truth, at times I thought I was going crazy. I didn't know what was happening to me with those nightmares. And those days we never heard the term PTSD. The only term we heard was shell shock. They would go like you're shell shocked, almost like you were crazy. And you didn't want to let anybody know that you had that, whatever it was. So you had to suck it up. And that's what Patton, I meant to say, Patton always said, suck it up. He didn't want to hear anything about nightmares, or he thought you were a malingerer, a faker, if you start talking about that, like to get away from the front line. But I damn well know I had PTSD, and I don't want, so what I did is, like I took it up that part of my brain, threw the key away, wasn't going to find it. Anybody asked me what I did in World War II, I just said I did my job, orders, and I changed the subject. I didn't talk about concentration camps or anything else for 50 years. And then I'm a Jersey boy, and I moved up to Rockland County, where I live now. And the lady at the local Holocaust Museum in 1995, 50 years after the end of the war in Europe, found out what I told you. She knew some lawyer, some other GI, a friend must have told her about me. And she called me on the phone and says, is that true? You were a liberator? You got to speak to the young students about that, Mr. Moss. I said, I'm not speaking to anybody. And I hung up the phone. I was rude. I didn't mean to be. She shook up, but she kept calling me and begging me. And finally, we agreed that I would speak and try it. It was too much for me. She never asked me to speak again. So I spoke in 1995, 50 years after the end of the war, for the first time to a group, and I was dead wrong, Dave. It was like a catharsis. It was like a purging of all that, that poison that I've been bottling up inside of me. It
Therapy
just came out of me, and I realized then it's better to get it out, not keep everything bottled up, and talk about it. And I was amazed how I must have talked for 2 hours that afternoon. And since then, I've been a busy, busy boy. I mean, I've been in so many schools like you, and last count, they got me to well over 100,000 middle school, high school, and college students. And it's like a calling with me now, like you. Every time I speak, I feel like I'm hitting some of these young kids, and I know you do the same thing. I've heard you, you've heard me, among the other speakers, and I think it's good what we do, and hopefully I'll be able to continue to do it as long as God gives me the strength to do it. I'm gonna go out there and let these kids know about the Holocaust and World War II, and what we witnessed and what we saw, and the main thing is to tell them that all God's children, whether you're black, white, pink, yellow, or Jew, Catholic, Protestant, Muslim, I don't care what you are, we all feel pain, we all feel joy, and we got to make sure that all God's children live in peace, so that we don't go through this hell and horror that I unfortunately had to witness back in World War II.
All right, well, let's have some fun now, because I'm just curious. You were born in 1926.
Correct.
And you have virtually witnessed every great achievement as far as technology. And I'm just wondering, of all the things that were invented, like what blows your mind the most of what you've seen develop since you were a little kid?
Well, I'm not into the technology. As you know, Chris is setting this up. I'm the worst. I can email, and that's about the extent of my, it's embarrassing when your little young grandchild in first grade or second grade said, "Come here, Pop, I want to show you something." And they're amazing with what they know about the technology today. I can't get over it. I mean, every time I ask a question, we used to have to go to the library, encyclopedia.
Yeah.
Right away, I get the answer, Chris. Probably they got the answer right in front of them, so I can't, I get a kick out of that. I mean, Dave, things have progressed to such an extent that it's hard to keep up what's going on in the world today. I mean, I might say, however, I'm old-fashioned, and I still like a lot of the things that we did way back then when I was a kid. I mean, I know mothers work outside the house today. When I was a kid, every mother was home cooking and cleaning the house and doing all the legwork in the house. And now, of course, they work outside the house. But every father came home for dinner. Dinner time was a very important time where you would talk. I'm a big guy on talking, because I see a lot of these young people today in particular, they don't talk. They got that thing in front of them now. They're holding it in their hand. They never stop looking at it crossing the street while they're eating. We talk. So I'm a little old-fashioned in that respect. I know technology's come a long way, but I'm really for the old school, Dave, to be honest with you.
I mean, what's it like to be 94? I mean, did you ever think you would get to that point where...
Are you kidding? When I was a kid, baby, 65. What do you think is Social Security? How come Roosevelt made it 65 or so young? Because when I was a kid, people died when they were 60, 65. Medical science has come such a long way. I never thought 94. Are you kidding me? My God, 74. I felt, my God, I had it. But I'm looking forward to hitting 100, and then we'll talk from there again.
Now, the most special part when I see you, and I know I don't want to get choked up, is that bond that I have with you because of my dad, and my dad died at a young age because he was an older father. But I just see the life in you and the love in you, despite what you went through. I mean, how are you this wonderful old man that just, loves people, hugs people, and has great stories? I mean, how did you survive all this?
How can I answer that? I can't. I never thought I'd hit 94 to be. My father did hit 94, by the way. and I just passed him, so I'm the oldest in the right now living in the whole family. He was the oldest, but now he was 94 when he passed away in Florida, and now I'm 94 plus, and one day at a time, Dave. I'll say one thing: you got to keep active. You got to keep your mind going. You can't just hang around watching television all day long. You know, like you, I speak whenever I'm called, whenever I'm asked, and I enjoy getting out. I enjoy seeing the young people, the students, and the main thing is I'm a hugger. And I said, get rid of the hate. No, I don't like the word hate. You don't hate your vegetables. You don't hate. You know, maybe not like something, but you hug. So I got that thing about hug, don't hate. Now, when I speak, Dave, at the end, every kid comes up to me and gives me a big hug and smile on their face. And I mean, how can you ask for anything more than that? The teachers said they never saw anything like that before. And I get letters now from some of the kids at the school saying, Mr. Moskin, we formed a Hug Don't Hate Club in your honor. And, you know, if they put on my tombstone, he said, Hug Don't Hate, I'll settle for that, because why can't we hug each other instead of hate? Hate begets hate. I don't like hate, and I don't want to talk about hate. I mean, I saw enough hate with the Nazis, and I know there's a lot of hate going out there today. We got to learn to love each other and get rid of the hate.
Well, the only tombstone I want for you right now is a pizza in a microwave oven or in a regular oven. But Alan, how has this, you know, and I know life is precious at 94. So this COVID and this pandemic it has shut you down. And what are you missing the most?
It's terrible. I miss getting out and, you know, contacting at the schools and at the meetings with a lot of my veteran buddies, the Jewish War veteran, the VFW, the Legion. I'm a member of all those groups, and the Holocaust museums that I attend and go to. And, you know, we do some stuff virtual, but it's not quite the same. I miss the connection, the camaraderie, and that's what keeps the juices flowing in my body. And again, you know, you got to get out and do something. I tell a lot of these other buddies of mine, gee, how do you go out? You're doing this. How do you get off? I said, get off your dump, get in and get out there. You'll feel better about it. You know, that's what it's all about. You know, life doesn't end because you're 80 or 90. It goes on, and I try to convey that and feel that way. I mean, we all got ailments, one thing or another, but you got to just fight over it and go and keep punching. And I know you do the same. You're younger than me, but you go out there. Listen, for a guy that was born with no legs, and I look at you, I wouldn't know it in a million years, because, I mean, what you do is remarkable. You don't like to talk about yourself, I know, but I've seen you and how the kids react, Dave, when you speak in the auditorium and they look at you, and, I mean, their eyes can't get off you. And so I guess we're both doing a job in a different way, but, you know, I think that keeps us going, too, the fact that we can relate and see the reaction of so many people like we do when we speak at these auditoriums and classes over the years.
Well, Alan, I appreciate, you know, it's just awesome that we can get together and you can deal with this technology. You made it work, so it's going to open up so many avenues.
Email, that's me. I'm an email guy.
As we wrap up tonight, you know, you're seeing the world up and down, topsy-turvy. What advice do you want to give the world right now? You fought for us. You fought for all these amazing things, and in the worst period at that time that we thought, and now you're seeing this. So what would you tell the Americans out there?
Well, the first thing is, I always say over and over again, get rid of the hate. You know, you can differ with somebody politically, but, you know, respect their opinion, give them your opinion, and don't go overboard in craziness. You know, I hear today so many things that disturb me about the shooting. Every day I'm reading in the metropolitan areas, young kids, mothers getting shot in gangs and things. It's, you know, we thought that that world wouldn't be like this at this stage. And it really disturbs me no end to see that the young people, you know, out in the streets shooting and killing in the gangs. And I wish I knew the answer to get rid of a lot of that stuff, but you know, again, I repeat over and over again, it's so much easier to love your neighbor and hug your neighbor and get rid of the hate, because I keep saying hate begets hate. And I wish I had the answers for all these things that are going on in the world today, politically and otherwise. And again, if you're different politically, you're different with one's opinion, they have a right to express themselves. Don't get crazy about it, and let's just hope that as the years go by, people will start to realize that regardless of the color of your skin or your religion or your nationality, we all feel pain, we all feel joy, and let's learn to love each other and respect each other, and not to look down on each other or hate each other. That's the best way I can put it. And I'm doing my share as best I can to get that message across. And I know you do the same thing too, Dave.
Well, thank you, Alan. I appreciate that. I appreciate you taking time with us tonight. I also appreciate General Michael Ferris joining us. I know they're going to continue to work with you and get you involved with the National Veterans Memorial and Museum in Columbus, Ohio. So I'm really excited for you guys to begin that journey immediately. I know they want your contact information and they want to start some stuff. This was kind of an experiment for you, Alan, so it worked out pretty good. So
I hope so.
Thanks for joining me tonight, and I appreciate it. And hopefully we can get together and I can get that hug in the next couple of months. So
good talking to you. Stay well. Okay, look forward.
All right. I love you, Alan Moskin. Thank you for joining me tonight. We got to continue doing what we're doing, but thank you for joining us. Thank you for being a part of Dave Stevens Speaks. I appreciate Alan Moskin, who is a hero and an amazing human being, and I appreciate Alan joining us tonight. So thank you. This is Dave Stevens, River West Radio 104.1, and of course, Alan Moskin has been my guest. Join me each and every Thursday night on Dave Stevens Speaks. We have guests, we have stars, we have all kinds of inspirational stories. Make sure you follow Dave Stevens Speaks on Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook, and all those good things. Good night, everybody.